Hello student, I am Ashish Chawla and today we continue the problem based on quadratic equation. So let's start the problem. If one root is twice the other of a quadratic equation x square plus px plus q equal to 0 and p square is equals to k times q, then find the value of k. So let's see how we can solve this. According to this question हमें बता रखा है कि एक रूट दूसरे रूट का ट्वाइस है. Let's say the roots are alpha and twice of alpha. एक root, let's say this root is twice of this. So the roots are alpha and 2 alpha. Now we know the relationship between the zeros and the roots and the coefficients. We know that the sum of the roots, that is alpha plus beta. So alpha plus beta, beta is 2 alpha. The sum of the root is minus b upon a. तो b क्या represent करता है? The coefficient of x, that is p. So this is our b and the coefficient of x square is 1, that is your a. So the sum of the root, that is alpha plus beta, is equals to minus b upon a. The value of a is 1. So alpha plus 2 alpha, that is 3 alpha, is equals to minus p. So what is the value of alpha? That is minus p upon 3. Now, and we know that the product of zeros, that is alpha into beta, is equals to c upon a. So what is the value of c? It is a constant term, c upon a, q upon a, that is a is 1. So alpha into 2 alpha, that is 2 alpha square, is equals to q. So the value of alpha square is equals to q by 2. Now let's say this equation number 1. I have to put the value of alpha, that is minus p by 3, in this equation. So I put in place of alpha, I put minus p by 3. The square is equals to q by 2. Minus p by 3 का स्क्वायर करेंगे तो मिलेगा p स्क्वायर by 9, which is equals to q by 2. 9 को क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करके तो ले जाएंगे तो p स्क्वायर is equals to 9 q by 2. I can write as 9 by 2 times q. But in the question it is given that p square is equals to k times q. So if I compare these two, I can say that the value of k is 9 by 2. The value of k is 9 by 2. So this is our answer. Now we move to the next question. If ax square plus bx plus c, in this quadratic equation a comma b comma c all are positive numbers, positive real numbers, and the value of discriminant is greater than 0. Determine the sign of the roots of the above equation. अगर इस गिवन इक्वेशन में a b c सारे पॉजिटिव रियल नंबर्स हैं और d की वैल्यू ग्रेटर देन 0 है तो हमें इसके रूट्स के साइन बताने हैं. रूट्स कैसे होंगे? पॉजिटिव होंगे, नेगेटिव होंगे, या पॉजिटिव या नेगेटिव होंगे. लेट्स सी हाउ वी कैन सॉल्व दिस. नाउ लेट्स say alpha and beta are the two roots, and we know that the sum of the root, that is alpha plus beta, is equals to minus b upon a. As it is given that the b and a both are positive numbers, so the value of b upon a is a positive value, this is negative. The value, as b and a are both are positive, so this value is positive. The value of b upon a is a positive value, so minus into positive, that is a negative number. So sum of roots is negative. Now, and we know that the product of zeros, that is alpha into beta, is equals to c upon a. As c and a both are positive, so c by a is also a positive number. So the product of root is positive. तो हमें दो ऐसे नंबर सोचने हैं जिनका एडिशन तो नेगेटिव हो और प्रोडक्ट पॉजिटिव हो। तो ये सिर्फ एक ही सिचुएशन में पॉसिबल है कि जब दोनों के दोनों रूट्स नेगेटिव है। इट इज पॉसिबल ओनली व्हेन बोथ आर नेगेटिव। देखिए बोथ पॉजिटिव नहीं हो सकते, क्यों? क्योंकि अगर पॉजिटिव है तो प्रोडक्ट ऑफ रूट तो पॉजिटिव आ जाएगा, लेकिन अगर दो पॉजिटिव नंबर को ऐड करेंगे तो उनका सम कभी भी नेगेटिव नहीं आएगा। ठीक है, और अगर लेट से साइन अपोजिट होते, एक पॉजिटिव होता एक नेगेटिव होता, तो उनका प्रोडक्ट हमेशा नेगेटिव आता, पॉजिटिव आ ही नहीं सकता था। सो दैट्स वाई द टू रूट्स आर नेगेटिव, both the roots are negative. Let's move to the next question. If alpha and beta are the roots of the equation ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0, then find an equation whose roots are reciprocal of above equation. हमें दे रखा है कि अल्फा और बीटा इस रूट्स के, इस गिवन इक्वेशन के रूट्स हैं, और हमें ऐसी इक्वेशन फॉर्म करनी है जिसके रूट्स इस गिवन इक्वेशन के रेसिप्रोकल हैं। ओके, ए एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस बी एक्स प्लस सी इक्वल्स टू 0, इसके रूट्स हैं हमारे अल्फा एंड बीटा, इसके रूट्स हैं हमारे अल्फा एंड बीटा। अल्फा प्लस बीटा दैट इज सम ऑफ 0 इज माइनस बी अपॉन ए, product of 0 c upon a, that we know that. Okay, now in order to we have to form an equation, we have to form an equation whose roots are reciprocal of the above equation, that is ax square plus bx plus c. So the roots of equation is the reciprocal of the above, that is 1 upon alpha and 1 upon beta. So first of all we have to find the sum of roots. So 1 upon alpha plus 1 upon beta, so these are the sum of the roots. I take alpha and beta as LCM. So in the numerator I get beta plus alpha. Now I put the value of alpha plus beta from this equation first. From the first equation I get the value of alpha plus beta, that is minus b upon a. I put here minus b upon a. What is the value of alpha into beta? That is c upon a. I put here c by a. So a and a are get cancelled. So what is sum of root? Minus b by c. I get, now I have to find the product of roots. So product of roots is 1 upon alpha into 1 upon beta. So what I get? 1 upon alpha beta. What is the value of alpha into beta? That is c upon a, c upon a. तो a ऊपर चला जाएगा तो it becomes a upon c. So the equation is, how we can form an equation, that is x square minus sx plus p equals to 0. What s represent? S represent the sum of roots and p represent product of roots, that is p, and that is, so I have to put the values here. So x square, what is the value of s? We find that is minus b by c. In place of s I have to put minus b by c. X plus, what is the value of p? That is a upon c equals to 0. Now open the bracket, minus minus plus b by cx plus a by c equals to 0. Now I have to take the c as LCM. So what is I get? C square plus bx plus a is equals to 0. Cross multiply. So I get cx square plus bx plus a equals to 0. So this is the equation whose roots are reciprocal of the above equation. Now we see the condition for the common roots. Let's say we have two quadratic equation, a1 x square b1 x plus c1 equals to 0, and the second a2 x square b2 x plus c2 equals to 0. Let's say now we are trying to find the condition that the two given quadratic equation have a common roots. Let's say this quadratic equation, the first quadratic equation having a roots alpha and beta, and so the second equation having a, let's say the two roots are, let's say alpha, and the another one is the gamma. So what we see that the alpha is the common root between them. Alpha is the common root between them. So as the alpha is the root of the first equation, so what do you mean the root? अगर हम x की जगह alpha put करेंगे तो वो equation को satisfy करेगा. As alpha is the root of this equation, so the first equation, let's say this is the first equation, so it becomes a1 x की जगह हम क्या पुट करेंगे, अल्फा, सो इट बिकम्स अल्फा स्क्वायर प्लस b1, x की जगह अल्फा पुट करना है, अल्फा b1 अल्फा प्लस c1 इक्वल्स टू 0। नाउ सेकंड इक्वेशन, इसका भी रूट अल्फा है तो इसमें भी हम x की जगह अल्फा पुट करेंगे, तो इट बिकम्स a2 अल्फा स्क्वायर प्लस b2 अल्फा plus c2 equals to 0. Now we have to solve these two equations. So let's say we consider this alpha square as x, let's say x, and this alpha as, let's say, y. So this is become a linear equation, a1x plus b1y plus c1 equals to 0. Again this equation become a2x plus b2y plus c2 equals to 0. Now we solve this equation by cross multiplication method. So what is the method? We have to write the coefficient of y. So here y is alpha, so we have to write first b1 b2, after that c1 c2, then a1 a2, after a b1 b2 again. So we write first x, the x is what, here x is alpha square, then y, what is y, that is alpha, and the constant, that is 1, equal to equal to equal to. Now we have to multiply, cross multiply, b1 को multiply करेंगे c2 से, so we get b1 c2, फिर then there is a minus sign, फिर हम इस तरह से multiply करेंगे b2 into c1. now here अल्फा के नीचे क्या आएगा, इसके लिए हम c1 को multiply करेंगे a2 से, we write c1 a2, then there is a minus sign, then c2 a1 negative. okay, now 1 के नीचे क्या आएगा, you have to multiply a1 with b2, a1 b2, और a2 को मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे हम b1 से, so this is negative a2 b1. now if I equate these two, the last two equations, I get alpha c1 a2 minus c2 a1 is equals to 1 upon a1 b2 minus a2 b1. क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे तो ये ऊपर चला जाएगा, so alpha is equals to c1 a2 minus c2 a1 upon a1 b2 minus a2 b1. so this is the value of alpha. now if I equate the first two, I get alpha square upon b1 c2 minus b2 c1 is equals to alpha c1 a2 minus c2 a1. so here alpha is cancelled with alpha square, so what is left, that is alpha is left, so alpha is equals to b1 c2 minus b2 c1 divided by c1 a2 minus c2 a1. so this is the value of alpha again. now I equate these two equations, so I get c1 a2 minus c2 a1 upon a1 b2 minus a2 b1 is equals to b1 c2 minus b2 c1 divided by c1 a2 minus c2 a1. जब इसको क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे तो we get c1 a2 minus c2 a1 का whole square, which is equals to b1 c2 minus b2 c1 multiplied with a1 b2 minus a2 b1. so this is the condition for the common. now by applying this equation we can solve the problems. let's solve one problem based on this. if the equation x square plus 2x plus 3 lambda equals to 0 and 2x square plus 3x plus 5 lambda equals to 0 have one non-zero common root, then find the value of lambda. now let's see how we can solve this. so we consider the coefficient of x square as 1, Here there is nothing written, so we have to consider as 1. Now if I compare these two equations, I get the value of a1 is 1, the value of b1 is 2, the value of c1 is 3 lambda. What is the value of a2? That is 2. Value of b2 3. Value of c2 5 lambda. Now for the condition of the common roots, I put condition for the common root is c1a2 minus c2a1 the whole square is equals to b1c2 minus b2c1 multiplied with a1b2 minus a2b1. Now put the values. What is the value of c1? That is 5 lambda multiplied by a2, that is 2, minus c2 3 lambda multiplied by a1. Sorry, what is the value of c1? That is 3 lambda. What is the value of a2? That is 2, minus what is the value of c2? That is 5 lambda. What is the value of a1? That is 1. The whole square is equals to what is the value of b1? That is 2. What is the value of c2? That is 5 lambda. What is the value of b2? That is 3. c1 3 lambda bracket. What is the value of a1? That is 1. b2 that is 3 minus a2 that is 2. b1 2. So 6 lambda minus 5 lambda the whole square is equals to 2 into 5, that is 10 lambda minus 9 lambda 3 minus 4. So 6 lambda minus 5 lambda, that is lambda. Lambda का square करेंगे तो lambda square. So 10 lambda minus 9 lambda, that is simply lambda. 3 minus 4, that is minus 1. So lambda square is equals to minus lambda. So minus lambda को तो shift करेंगे तो lambda square plus lambda equals to 0. I take lambda common. What is left? Lambda plus 1 equals to 0. So it is possible only when lambda equals to 0 or lambda equals to minus 1. So lambda cannot be 0. So the answer is lambda equals to minus 1. Why lambda cannot be 0? If you put lambda equals to 0, then the equation, these two equations having one roots 0. Because the constant term is missing now. When the constant term is missing, then both the equation having one root, that is 0. So but in this question it is given that there is a non-zero root common, so the value of lambda should be minus 1. Now we move to the next question. A person on tour has rupees 4,200 for his expenses. A person on tour has rupees 4,200 for his expenses. If he extend his tour for 3 days, if he extend his tour for 3 days, he has to cut his daily expenses. He has to cut his daily expenses. He has to cut his daily expenses by rupees 70. Find original duration of his tour. Find original duration of his tour. Let's see how we can solve this. According to this question, एक पर्सन है जिसके पास 4,200 रुपीज हैं. अगर वो अपने नंबर ऑफ डेज टूर के बढ़ा दे, 3 दिन से अगर वो बढ़ा दे, तो उसके जो डेली एक्सपेंसेस हैं उसमें 70 रुपीज की कमी आएगी. सो लेट अज्यूम दैट, पहले तो हमें यही नहीं पता कि वो कितने दिन के लिए टूर पे जा रहा है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी अज्यूम दैट द नंबर ऑफ डेज of his tour are x. Days are x. Okay. So उसके पास टोटल मनी है 4,200. So the daily expense कितना हो जाएगा? तो हम 4,200 को डिवाइड कर देंगे नंबर ऑफ डेज से, तो ये इनका डेली एक्सपेंस हो जाएगा. Now so much रुपी. अगर if the tour is extended by 3 days, if tour is extend by 3 days, so उस सिचुएशन में उसका डेली एक्सपेंस कितना हो जाएगा? दैट इज अगेन टोटल मनी तो वही है 4,200. इस बार डे कितने हो जाएंगे? x की जगह हो जाएंगे x प्लस 3, तो उसका डेली एक्सपेंस हो जाएगा 4,200 डिवाइडेड बाय x प्लस 3. बट अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस क्वेश्चन, according to the question, it is given that this daily expense is 70 less than the original one. So I can write 4,200 by x minus 4,200 divided by x plus 3. is equals to 70. So I take 4200 common. So what is left? 1 upon x minus 1 upon x plus 3 equals to 70. 4200 को हम राइट साइड पे शिफ्ट कर देंगे. So 1 upon x minus 1 upon x plus 3 is equals to 70 divided by 4200. So 0 से 0 cancel. 7 4 20 60 times. I take x into x plus 3 common. LCM, sorry, x और x plus 3 का LCM x into x plus 3 और न्यूमरेटर पे क्या आएगा? x plus 3 minus x is equals to 1 upon 60. x से x cancel, क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे तो I get x into x plus 3 is equals to 60 into 3, that is 180. So x into x, that is x square, x into 3, that is 3x. 180 को राइट साइड लेफ्ट साइड शिफ्ट करेंगे तो इट बिकम माइनस 180 इक्वल्स टू 0. अब क्या करेंगे? 180 के हम फैक्टर्स करेंगे जिससे हमें 3 मिल सके. तो 180 के फैक्टर्स हो जाएंगे 12 एंड 15, बिकॉज 12 into 15 we get 180 and from 15 minus 12 I get 3. So x square 15x minus 12x minus 180 equals to 0. From these two terms I take x common, so x plus 15. From these two terms I take minus 12 common, so x plus 15 equal to 0. So from these two terms I take x plus 15 common, and what is left? X minus 12 equals to 0. So the value of x can be minus 15 or 12. As the number of days are never been negative values, so this is not possible, so the answer is 12. So his original duration is 12 days. Thank you.